audio?
It's a bit.
All right, we're probably good.
Okay.
I think we're live. Okay, I think we're about ready to go ahead and get started 8 minutes after schedule, which
That's
is
okay.
5 minutes faster than we normally do, so that's cool. Cool, so hello everybody, welcome. I hope you're here to learn about the CDCs. That's what all we're going to be talking about today. So quick show of hands, who's participated in a CDC before? In any capacity, signing up for a team, doing nothing? Yeah, okay, cool. So like half. Yeah, and I say that because my first two CDCs here, when I was a freshman, ISU 1 in the fall and ISU 2 in the spring. My freshman year, first one in the fall, I signed up, joined a team, and then didn't do anything. I didn't log into any of the boxes. I didn't access the VMs at all. I did nothing. And then it ended, and I moved on. And then the second one in the spring, I signed up, joined a team, logged into the VMs, saw them, and then did nothing, and the competition ended, and we moved on. So that was just because I had no clue what to do, and there were so many different barriers in the way and different knowledge fields I feel like I had no clue about or even how to access things. So that's kind of what today's meeting is all about. We're going to try and eliminate some of those barriers to entry and get people used to working in ISEAGE, because that's what 230 uses, what 231 uses, it's what 331 uses if you take any of those classes, and it's how all the CDC is run. So it's definitely really important to be aware of how it works, but cool. So I also hope that everybody here is looking to participate in the CDC. Not necessarily you can learn about it here, but the first set of steps I'm going to go through is how to actually make an account, log in, make a team, form a team. We'll probably talk a little bit to each other. I know how much we don't like doing that sometimes, but we can try to make some teams here and form up with people who are new and have similar experience levels so that hopefully we can get everybody together on different teams and having fun. So for anybody following along in person or on the live stream, we are at signup.iseage.org, signup.iseage. ICE is spelled correctly there, don't worry. Signup.iseage.org is where everybody's going to start for getting involved with the CDC. So everybody good on accessing that? That's not broken yet. I know with 15 people accessing it at once, it might take it down. It's probably a record number of traffic for ISEAGE, but okay. So if you make it to signup.iseage.org, you should be greeted with this nice, very quality registration area where you have the choice to register for blue, red, or green. Everybody here will be blue team. Blue team is the team that sets up VMs, makes them secure, sits in the TLA, and defends against all of the red team attackers on competition day. Red team is reserved for industry professionals, full-timers, and generally people who have graduated or just aren't a student here right now. So you can avoid red team for right now. That's something you can do after you graduate if you have some experience in the field. You can also sign up for being a red team on the high school CDCs that get run here sometimes. That's a really great way to get offensive security experience. So everybody sign up for blue team. And then green team, just so everybody knows, is the people who do service checks, right? That's green team. Green team, they're a bunch of people who sit around and make sure that our services are accessible, that they can log into the places they're able to log into. They might call you at some point and ask you to reset a password or try and see if you can fix a service for them, something like that. But green team is people not doing technical work. Red team is the offense that's going to be attacking all of our boxes and breaking everything up. And blue team is where we want to be. So register blue team. I already have the thing, so I am not going to make another account, but first and last name, you can put whatever. I put Ice and Bear as my first and last name. A cool username, alias handle, whatever you want. Email, I use my school one every time. And then the reason I actually went to this, it's pretty self-explanatory, SAM's the password. The password is unbelievably difficult to get working.
It gives you, if you get it wrong, it gives you, I believe now, the requirements. It didn't used to do that.
Okay, yeah. So it used to be when we were making accounts, you would put in, I would put a garbage password. I'd be like, TOOR is my password because I don't care. And it's a temp account for just this competition, so it wasn't a big deal. And it would just error out until you couldn't make an account and quit back to the main page. And I was like, what the hell? Turns out there are password requirements on it. So you have to have some combination of capitals, maybe some numbers, maybe some symbols. Do we know at all fail it, what it's like?
Just put in garbage information.
Try SQL
Is
injection.
there a maximum password limit?
I mean,
Supposedly 250.
Oh, here we go. They did add a warning. Thank God. So it does not mean medium password password getting one uppercase and lowercase and symbol and 10 characters long and must not be your username or full name.
Okay, so let me put in a 128 character password from my password manager. So we're good.
Sweet. Okay. So just do 100 characters of uppercase, lowercase, and symbols. And you're
Break
fine.
I score.
Yeah, I scored.
My account is created.
So, okay. So go in there, make yourself a password, use some cool password manager like the stream sponsor today, Bitwarden. Just kidding, we're not sponsored, Bitwarden. For sure. But I use Bitwarden for everything. That's where I keep all my passwords. That's why I'm able to make my password something crazy like that. If anybody wants to write that down. It's called Bitwarden? Bitwarden is, the password manager I use. It's open source. It's super useful across multiple devices, free to use. It's awesome. So, cool. All right. Well, hopefully everybody either has an account now, in the process of making an account. We'll kind of hang out for a sec and make sure people can actually get their accounts.
there.
Yeah.
So, as a beginner, which one do you recommend? Which team do you recommend for us to sign up?
Blue team is the only one you should be signing up for. Red team is not a student thing. That should be just from, I don't know if grad students can do it, but it's mostly just industry professionals and people who are outside the university. Green team is for non-technical help. They're the ones that are calling people and checking services. Blue team is where all of the students in this room should be signing up for. So make sure to register blue team. I accidentally registered red team when I first got here this time because I wasn't paying attention. So she'll walk over to just in case. So cool. I hope everybody's gotten that working. When you do register, you'll get an email from ISEAGE. ISEAGE will have a link on there to click to register your user. Clicking that link will usually give you a successful message. If it doesn't, just wait a minute. It will eventually. And then if you try to log in too fast after getting that registration message and clicking it, it will error out. You have to give it like 30 seconds to a minute. Yeah, you'll get some funky errors. So, has anybody been able to make an account here? Is anybody making an account? Making an account or successfully made an account? Okay, cool. So yeah, keep, okay, cool. So once you get that all set up, you get the verification email sent, you get your account verified, you'll be able to log in at the login button on sign up to ISEAGE.org. So logging in here, oh my gosh. Okay, well,
so you have, you're gonna get an email and you have to click.
no, I already did all that. This was working moments ago.
Well,
I was able to log into my account mere moments ago. Yeah, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
You also
I have 2 accounts with Iceberg, I think.
you can't change your password because the local account page is broken. You have to contact ISEAGE support if you need to change your password, just preemptively so everyone knows.
Yeah. So make it a good password. Or save it in the password manager. It's crazy.
or just like write it down
No, do not. Well,
on a piece of paper.
you can write it down on a piece of paper as long as it's not in an easily accessible place. I'm not going to shit on anybody for having a password book that they keep all their passwords in, as long as it's in some secure location. There's nothing wrong with that.
You really don't even need a secure password for this year, so we'll be deleted in
Yeah, I was going to say.
3 weeks.
Tattoo them on my chest. Yeah. So, sweet. If you're able to make an account, congratulations. You already beat most of the lottery luck that is ISEAGE's infrastructure. So you're doing better than most people. But upon logging into your newly created account, you'll be greeted with this beautiful blue team dashboard. This is all of the teams that are currently created for the competition. The most important parts here, names, and then looking for members. I still am not entirely sure why they do it this way, because if you want to join a team, the team has to open it for members and then join, and then you have to close it for members. You can't be invited to teams, and you can't invite people to teams. You just have to open it and then wait for them to join and then close it again. You could just leave it open. Or you could just leave it open and risk your team filling up with randos.
To be clear, you also can't see your team members either.
Yeah, you can't see who's on the team. It will just say it's full at some point. What?
How many members can be on a team?
That's a great question. Tyler says 8. Tyler says 8. That's news to me. Yeah.
Compile time there.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a max team size of 8. You don't need 8 by any means. We found that the most successful teams are sometimes less. because, well, I don't know.
Less is more.
Especially because there aren't that many boxes for this competition. So I would be totally, I think, I don't know. Groups of 4 is fine. Any amount of people is cool. I think one of my first CDCs was literally just me and 2 other people, and that was the one where we logged on, poked around a little bit, didn't go to the competition, and kind of just walked away. So any amount of people is cool. As you can see, I've already joined a team. This should have buttons for joining. If you haven't, I've already joined a team. Sudo, for anybody that doesn't know, is generally the cabinet team. We started naming it that like 2 years ago, I think. So we have just been keeping that around, but that is mostly all of the cabinet members from IASG here as a team. Analog Lawnmower 2.0, is that one of the testing accounts? I don't remember.
I thought it was a real account.
Really? Because that's been on every CDC, I'm pretty sure.
No, but I think that's. I thought that was like.
I thought that was ISEAGE's team.
I thought it was
Could be
ISU.
wrong.
Tyler? Is that a weird team?
ISEAGE has a team.
Oh, I don't know. Analog Lawnmower has
Usually
been...
have a team.
What?
They usually have one.
Analog Lawnmower has been a team every CDC I've been on, and I thought they were always one of the like non-competitor...
No, but they were one that because our team was like back
What?
and forth.
Okay, so
I think it's passed down from generation to generation.
Somebody keeps inheriting Analog, yeah. Okay. But either way, you can also create a team. Is there a button to create a team when you're not joined in a team?
Yeah.
Is it up in this area here, up in the left?
Yeah, it's
No.
below blue team dashboard.
It's
Oh, okay.
It's like right.
Okay, yeah. So you can create a team. I wouldn't recommend every individual person making a team, as then there's nobody on any of those teams, and there's one person on a bunch of individual teams. So I don't know how we want to do this part about, it's always like, I went to one of these meetings when I was a freshman and trying to get to CDCs, and it was always like weird because I was like, I don't know anybody here, and I'm trying to form up with teams.
there's also a team creation channel in Discord for anyone that doesn't want to actively make a team right here, right now. You can say you're looking for a team in Discord and figure it out there.
But let's like, I don't know, like show of hands, who has like minimal experience, is just looking for a team of beginners to like hang out with and learn with. Because that's usually like, I feel like that's the most common like group we fall into. Okay, sweet. So, feel free to talk to each other. I don't know. I don't really want to force anybody into like talking to each other, but like maybe we go and so either we can talk now and figure out teams and kind of that stuff, or like Trent said, we have a Discord channel for it where we can hopefully say that. I was looking to make like a number of teams right now, and then have whoever wants to join them, and then we can like anybody who isn't comfortable or isn't here right now can just put something on the Discord and say, hey, I'm looking for a team. Or people could post their teams and say, we have this many out of this many people, and we're really beginner friendly. So, let's see. What's the best way to do this?
I guess, do we want to do this now or at the end?
I don't know, because I'm just kind of going through. I want people to be able to follow steps. So, like,
True.
getting everybody a thing, and then getting onto a team, and then getting VMs would be actually good. Yeah, I also don't want to break the camera, so. Yeah, we can do that. Okay. If everybody's cool with it, we will. We're going to go through the rest of this presentation for just how to access VMs and stuff. And then maybe at the end, when we are kind of done with the formal stuff, we can stand up and hang out and maybe write some team names up on the board and figure out who wants to join stuff and just kind of get people connected that way. So just so we don't have to interrupt this whole thing in the middle and kind of break up the flow of everything. So, okay, we'll deal with team stuff later. We're going to move on to the next most important part of the team. So if you do get signed up onto a team and set up everything, competition info is the next big category up here that you're going to want to check out. Can you access this actually without a team?
What is it?
Yep.
Just competition info? Okay. So there's a link for competition info. It takes you to this Google Drive, the shared Google Drive with the scenario in it, which should be up to date, Tyler, right?
What?
The scenario's up to date in here? I'm going to click on this and this is the right scenario? Yes, okay.
No, but what's the actual like?
It says ISU CEC 1, 2022.
Yeah, we can do that.
Community Direct Credit Union?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the scenario. This is probably the most important document you'll get in the entire competition. It has all of the information asterisks all of the information that you need to get your services up and running, to know what users need to have access to, and to figure out how to secure your boxes. So we'll kind of briefly skim through some of this. I don't think I'll read all of it. There's a nice little cute scenario intro that they do that always gives some background on what you are as a company. Generally, you're in the position of like an IT tech person at a company that is in charge of something. So here, hello, our fellow banking experts. For over 2 months now, we at the Community Direct Credit Union, creative, have been trusted with our loyal customers' money to help them save, spend, and most importantly, keep their money safe. Due to a large boom in customers over the past week, we at the, Community Direct Credit, CDC. We at the CDC have been working tirelessly on upgrades to our banking software, creating a new website, and finally creating a better and more secure customer database. Expanding, however, always comes with its downsides. We've been worried about potential cyber attacks on our software and machines because of that. We're looking to have a complete security analysis on all of our code. Taking a look at our infrastructure has been long overdue, especially for a business as popular as ours. With your help, we can keep our customers' assets safe and hopefully create more money for our customers and, of course, ourselves. Everyone, employees and customers alike, will be extremely grateful for your help in the security analysts and upgrades. We're counting on you, Community Direct Credit. Cool. Oh, we have somebody that's actually watching that stream. Nice. So that's kind of the general overview of it. We're coming in as consultants to a community credit banking union, whatever, and we're supposed to be in charge of securing things, doing analysis, figuring out what's insecure, and fixing it. So cool. And now we're going to get a list of servers. So these are the servers that you will get as virtual machines inside of vSphere or vCenter. And these are the ones you'll actually be interacting with, upgrading, modifying, reconfiguring, and making secure. So first off, we have Active Directory. For anybody that has taken 230 or 231 or 331, the naming schemes for some of these domain names here will be pretty similar. Instead of studentnumber.230.com or whatever, we have Active Directory ad.teamnumber.isucdc.com. So that'll be the format for all of the domain names going forward. And you can see here we have a default list of usernames and passwords. A little pro tip, the first thing you should do, before competition, you should change all of the default creds on all of your boxes. Red team gets a copy of this document, knows exactly what the username and passwords are by default on boxes, and have scripts that will just auto-pwn you and take all of your flags right at the beginning. Could that be used as a tactic? Maybe. But for beginners, I would definitely recommend if you just change all of the default usernames and passwords on your boxes, you're already ahead of like 80% of teams that sign up for the CDC. Because most people sign up, don't come to these meetings, don't know what to do, and then just kind of mess around. So that's a little pro tip. We'll get to that later. But you'll get the domain name for it, usernames, passwords to log in, what operating system it's running, and then its general role. So for anybody that's worked with Active Directory before or in Windows environments, it's no surprise that this is for centralized authentication. This will be the server that all of your users send their credentials to log in. So it's going to be a really important one to protect. This box should be domain joined and allow users to log in via LDAP or LDAP-S. Those are two important requirements. Get some notes that any instances of the servers or servers not joined at AD are subject to a pipe penalty or at the discretion. At the discretion. I thought it was okay. At the discretion of the white team. So make sure all of your servers are domain joined. Then it tells you the required access for this server. So this server requires competition network access to RDP on port 3389. That's a Windows feature. It's super easy to turn on. You just need to make sure it's running and accessible. And then it needs to have LDAP or LDAP-S available on port 389 or 636 respectively, one being for LDAP, one being for LDAP-S. That also must be accessible from the competition network. We'll talk about what that means a little bit more later. And then the other really important part is it tells you where the flags go. So the way that Red Team proves that they've broken into your box and stolen sensitive information is they steal the information in this file. And you have to put that file there. So pro tip 1, change default creds on everything, usernames and passwords. Pro tip 2, put the flags that you get assigned on the machine. Because if you don't have those there, you get a huge point penalty or just disqualified.
You get disqualified.
Okay, you just get disqualified if you don't plant these flags correctly by the time competition starts. Because if you don't plant these, Red Team has nothing to steal and they can't prove that they've been in your box. So we'll talk about how to plant those and where you get them. You saying iScore still broken?
Yep.
Okay, well there goes a lot of stuff out on the show, but okay. And then the blue team Sorry, the blue team is where you'll plant the flags. Red team is where red team will put flags when they get in. So there's two ways that they score points. They take your flag and they plant their flag to prove they can read and write sensitive information to your machine. So blue team is where you'll put the flag. Red team is where you need to check to see if you've been pwned, see if their flag is there. Cool. And when I say flag, it's just a string of characters in a file. It's a bunch of hex characters. So moving on, same sort of stuff for the database server. I won't go in depth here. Username, password. It's running Ubuntu. It's responsible for this credit union database. It needs to have RDP 3380. Ubuntu server needs to have RDP port 3389. I'm not super sure about that, but sure, we'll rock with that. It needs to have RDP. And the banking app must be accessible at port 5432. So, cool. Tyler, do you want to say anything about the RDP?
I just didn't change that.
Okay. Is there supposed to be something on that, or just remove it? Like, is there supposed to be a port, like a SSH or something? Or
Honestly, it's probably not open. There's nothing to connect to it, so I mean...
well, I'm just wondering if there's supposed to be a different thing in this required access for, like, what?
It might be open. It's probably SSH.
I'd imagine.
Eventually, you can check a iScore, and it'll actually have all of these
eventually.
with like reds and greens, so you can actually see what you have set up and if it's set
You
up
go to the
properly.
old iScore? Either way, required access, flags again. Red team's flag this time isn't creating a file or anything. It's actually adding a user to the Postgres database. So that being kind of interesting. And then blue team, your flag goes in Etsy. We have the banking app itself, which is app.team.isucdc.com. Default password is username CDC. Ubuntu again. This one's going to be responsible for running the actual front-end application for the bank. Going to be a pretty important one to keep up and running. It runs HTTPS on 40 or on 80 and 443 respectively, and then it needs to have SSH access on port 22. So those are the big things. And Red has to add an HTTP server on port 666. That's new. I haven't seen that as a flag before, but sure. So Red team has to start up a new service on your box to prove that they got in, and blue team, your flag will go in Etsy app. Cool. And then finally, we have the actual website itself. So this website is going to host all of the basic stuff you'd imagine. CDC is the usernames and passwords. Ubuntu again. You need to have SSH, and it will have HTTP and HTTPS running for the website itself. And that's apparently just a static website that serves customers who are as a company and why they should trust us with their money. Maybe the company owners personally. So generally on the websites, Red Team's looking to deface the website. So if they get in, they want to change the homepage to say that like elite hacker bros were here, and your flag will go on Etsy. So those are all the VMs you'll have. They're a website, an app, a banking app, a database, and a Active Directory server. Just those four is what you're responsible for the CDC. And again, kind of what I explained in this doc, there's more notes on what flags are, where to put them. Not allowed to migrate any systems, any of the provided servers in this competition unless otherwise specified. So don't pick up an entire VM and move it to a new OS. Don't move any of the core applications like the website, the app, the database, the Active Directory server. Don't move any of those off of the VMs they give you. They're all put on those VMs for very specific reasons. Then we also talk about the user roles. I'm going to click on iScore even though I know it's broken. We'll see. There's a list of roles. So there's bank presidents, bank board members, the tellers, and the security administrator himself. So these roles for this company have different requirements, and it's up to you to read these descriptions here. Administrator accounts need certain access. So how are you going to prevent the tellers who probably don't need sudo access on all of the servers? How are you going to give them different permissions than the bank president who might, because they're really arrogant, they might want super user control of all the servers. But a security administrator probably needs to have that sort of elevated privilege. So you can read through the scenario more closely on your own and figure out what those roles mean and how you can how you should be delegating out permissions for that. Inside of iScore, you can edit DNS. On the competition day, everybody will have a phone, an ICE phone. This phone is going to be where a lot of people contact you. So Green Team can call you and ask about services being down or that they forgot their password and they want to reset it. Red Team can call you and say, hey, I want to have your user's password. Could you please reset it for me? And if you reset the password and give it to them, Red Team has a free in into your boxes. So be very scrutinous of who's calling you on these phones, because it's not just the green team that has access to it. It's red team as well. So those are pretty fun to play with. There's a full list of competition rules. These are always important to read if you're a nerd. And yeah, I think that's the gist of it for the scenario. Again, feel free to go through and read. You probably should read it a bit closer than what I just did for a little cursory glance. But again, bookmark that site, bookmark this whole place, because this is going to be the most important document that you look at for the rest of it. They also give you a spreadsheet for user information. So this is where those roles that I was talking about come into play. As you can see here, there are... Oh, boy. Whoa. As you can see here, there are different users with different roles. We have a bank president here. We've got a number of board members, actually 3 security admins, and then a bunch of tellers. So these passwords are unique to each team, and you can find those in ISCORE. These passwords, which you can tell are a little bit better than the default CDC, but not by much. Password 12, exclamation point. But either way, these passwords are shared between all the teams. All the teams have those accounts, and those passwords are the same. These TSI ones are team-specific information, so those will go in ISCORE, and you can see those later. But yeah, so when you're making users, an important part of the CDC is also adding all of your users to the machine. So you need to make sure that these users can log into all the machines correctly. Yes, Tyler?
It is now SSH for the database access.
Sweet.
Port 22.
422. Okay. Good to see that got up there. Sweet. Cool. Okay, so everybody believes ISCORE is down. Is anybody lying to me?
Try log in. Go for it.
I will. You think I will? Damn it. Okay. So I believe ISCORE is down.
Unless you're an admin.
Unless you have admin privileges, which none of us do. So kind of a bummer. ISCORE is going to be where you spend most of your time looking at stuff. So this will have service checks, so you can see what services you have operating, and if they're not working, it will give you some information about why it's not working. Super important resource, something you will be on the whole time for the competition to make sure that all of your services are up. Because some of the ways that you get scored during the competition are service uptime, so making sure that all of your services are available to your users at all times. Red team will try to bring these down, because you lose points when these services have been DOSed, or if the machines have been turned off or rebooting or something. So you need to make sure you have those machines up and running. What? Oh yeah, I mean they're not allowed to DOS, but like turning off a machine would be a denial of service in a way, and they can turn off machines. So they can't red team can't actively sit on top of your machine and just like flood it with requests to kill it. I mean they will, and if you call them on it, they'll like ignore the rules, but they're not supposed to. So it's pretty important to pay attention to the rules, because there are a lot of, while red team is supposed to be the bad guys doing whatever they can to stop you, the end goal of this competition has always been for you guys to learn as much as possible. And red team should, and whether it's the letter of the law or the spirit of the law here, red team should be fostering that. They're industry professionals, they're people who do this for a living, so they shouldn't be here to dunk on undergrads who are trying to learn, which has happened before. So either way, yeah, red team is here to help you guys learn. So when they take down a service, it's up to you guys to figure out how they took it down, and you'll write up a report. I'm not going to go into the details of the entire scoring of the competition, but another way you get points is that once you lose flags and you lose those points, you can get some of them back by writing a report. You say, okay, at this time they got into this file and they accessed this, and then they were able to pivot over here, get the flag, and then they did all this stuff. To fix this, I would patch these things. And then you turn that report into the admin, the technical people, the ISEAGE people, and they will grade it and get you back some of the points. Yes, kid in the back.
To be clear, you can get half of your points back that you lost.
Yeah.
So it is a rather significant portion, so do it.
Yeah, it's very important. And it's a good chance for you guys to investigate logs, which is a huge part of security. No matter pretty much any field of cybersecurity you go into, log analysis is going to be a part of it at some point. Whether you're a red teamer trying to make sure you don't leave logs, or a blue teamer trying to find logs. So look into some software for logging. We found some really awesome things for keeping track of all of the different things that happen on boxes. There's a lot of ways to do it. You could set up a Splunk server. That's something we did at 2:30. 2:30. If you want to try and do that. It's fun. So. Cool. Any major questions so far about what I've explained about the scenario or any of that stuff? We're going to kind of jump into how to access the VMs now. So like I said, ISCORE eventually will hopefully be working. I wouldn't hold our breath, but We don't need that right now just to access the VMs. So, to access the VMs, we're going to vcenter.iseage.org, vcenter.iseage.org. And that's going to take you to this lovely VMware splash page.
Wait,
We're waiting.
what is it? Can you send me your information and I can try and add you to my score?
I'm not super keen on sending passwords over Discord, but
I got it.
don't worry.
I got it. Don't worry.
I'll send it real
I'll make you a
quick.
password. I have an extra.
I could just okay, fine. I'll just send it real quick.
You are so
Oh no, the two people. Where's the chat? We have had 0 people in chat.
Yeah, there's nobody in chat.
Throw in chat if you want me to dox my passwords.
People watching.
My one CDC password.
Oh my god, there's really cool.
Throw in chat. Okay, so we'll show off iScore in a little bit. vCenter is the next big place you're going to go. vcenter.iseage.org. Once you get here, you can do launch VMware Client HTML5. Do that. That's going to take you to actually a login page. I'm already logged in. But you should be good to use the same username and password you did from the sign up to log into here. Is anybody have an account? Was anybody able to get to this vCenter ISEAGE.org? Is anybody following me? Were you guys able to log in with your normal account stuff from the CDC sign up?
Wait, CDC stuff?
Yeah, whatever you created for the username and password. Oh shit, actually, you're not going to have anything because you haven't joined Teams, right?
Someone said do it.
Yeah, it's Greg.
We have 2 people in chat.
It's Greg. Greg told me to do it. Why does YouTube chat have the cringiest emojis? Okay, so I realize that we don't have Teams set up, so you probably won't be able to see this, but this is a good place to go. So I'll show you what our Teams setup kind of looks like. We have a Minecraft server. That wasn't there. We added that. We'll talk about adding VMs in a sec. But as you can see, these 4 VMs down here, a little small, but you can see that that represents the VMs that we were given in this scenario. We have www, we have database, app, and Active Directory. Those are all available to us here, which is awesome. And then to access any of these, normally you would do launch remote console. That's broken. Don't do that. Instead, we can go ahead and just click on app here and launch web console. So this is going to show us a terminal. So now we're actually inside of the virtual machine that is running our application, or it's supposed to be running our application. And we can refer back to the, okay, well, there's the scenario. It disappeared for a second. That's how it was up in here. Do I have an account I can log into for?
Yeah. First one's password, second one username.
Here, I can.
Okay, well, it's on. Okay, you know, I'll just pull up my phone.
Here, no, I got you. I got you.
I could just say
Oh,
password.
I hit it.
Oh, nicely done.
Look at that. Censor the whole screen. Blur it. Can I get a... Did you send the password first?
Yeah, I did.
Why?
Because I didn't have that one ready.
Okay, you're going to block it. Cool. Sensitive information be gone. I guess small pivot away from the VMs because we're going in order here. iScore. This is what iScore looks like. As you can see, look at all these creative teams and their interesting titles. It's broken right now. Team 36. I'll give a shout out to Team 36. Cool. The important thing here, the first thing you're going to look at is service stat. Oh my god, why did I even log in if everything's broken, Tyler? Sure. Are we? Is this even on a team? Whose team?
No.
It's on team. What? Who's team 8? What account is this? Who am I logged in as? Okay, whatever. Again, the service statuses tab would be where you would go to see all of your services. Here are all of the things for the team specific info. You go to team specific info and you can see this dude has this password and this birthday and this other thing and this thing and this thing. So in general, you're going to have one personal piece of information, date of birth, sometimes it's social security number, stuff like that. And then you'll have a password, which is this other one. The importance of having that is that maybe it would be a good way to validate who is calling you on the phone. If somebody, or if they email you and they say, hey, I want to reset this password on this account, be like, oh, that's great. Can you give me any of the personal info associated with that account? Date of birth, social security number, stuff like that to verify who you are. Red teamers are going to just take a guess on the phone. And if they guess, just say that they got it right, and then don't change the password, hang up on them, and then they spend the next couple of minutes trying to figure out why they can't log into the password. So, but either way, the date of birth and the special info in here is usually used to help identify people over the phone. Do that or not, it also takes longer, so maybe you just give them the password and see what happens. It is easier for the report. It's like, if you want to know how they got it, it's like, well, they called me and I gave them the password. I don't know what the problem with that is. Anomalies are another tab in here for anybody that's done CTF before. These anomalies are just CTF challenges that get sprinkled in throughout the day. They're fun. They're something to break up the monotony of sitting there waiting for red team to crash all your shit. So the anomalies are probably some of my favorite stuff. They used to do Pokemon ROM hacks until that got a no-no from the university. I don't actually know who got that because Nintendo didn't DMCA them or anything, but there's a lot of fun challenges. They're pretty interesting. You can also see DNS records, which you can set up for your team if you want to have extra services or if you want to change the names of things. That'll all be there. But, yep. Not a ton to show in here because this is broken, but what else? You get the idea. iScore is where you're going to be tracking the leaderboards. It's going to track your services and how they're doing and where you're finding team-specific info. Back to vCenter. So we're looking at virtual machines. So first up, we have the app box. We'll just start on here and do some example stuff to help you guys get started. The first thing, and there are guides for this on this rules doc, I believe, in setting up a server and things like that. Yeah, connecting to the competition network. There's a lot of detailed guides in here. I'll give you guys a rough overview of how you can go about getting these connected to the internet. Because one of the most important things you can do at the beginning of the competition, get all your boxes connected and apt update and apt upgrade all your boxes. Make sure that the software on them is as up to date as possible. Because if it's not, and there's an easy backdoor into like a broken service that's listening on your box, probably going to be a red flag and really easy for red team to get in. So for anybody new to Linux, sudo apt update is going to be your friend. That's going to update all of the references to the packages that are installed on your machine. And you can see here that there's a bunch of errors and that it can't reach things and it didn't download anything. And it failed a bunch, which is expected. Weirdly enough, for a live demo, that's what we're expecting. So there's a couple ways to go about setting this up. The first thing you always want to do is make sure you have an IP address. IP space adder, ADDR, is the command to check all of the interfaces and their IPs. So here we can see we have 33.96.5.30. This, I can't highlight it, but it is... yeah, we can see that we have that on the ENS160 interface. We have a IP and INET IPv4 IP, which is great. That's the first step to getting connected to the internet. If there's ever any questions about what the network config is, I would look inside of ls etc network. ls network, or oh, nice, we got text.
Yeah.
We got text. We're fancy.
We're
This
figuring
live
out.
stream. If that's not worth some super chats, I don't know what is. Don't super chat us. I don't know what to do with that money from a university perspective. But either way, we're going to look in Etsy Network, and there's this interfaces file that's going to contain all of our networking information. So let's take a look at that real quick. Just Vim, because Vim is better than Nano. And if you use Nano, I wouldn't recommend signing up for the CDC. So, no, I would only not recommend signing up if you use VI. You can use Nano or Vim. I don't give a shit, but don't use VI. Okay, so here we can see some info about our ENS160 interface. All of this stuff, I think, is set up by default on all of the machines, or at least some sort of networking config, so you shouldn't have to do much here. But it will be more important when if you add new machines. So we can see we have an IP address, we have a net mask, which is just 255.255.250. We have a default gateway, which is each team will have their own set of three for the IP address. So 33.96.5 is our team's IP address range, if you want to go and poke our stuff. And then .254 will be everybody's default gateway. .30 is this machine's box, this machine's IP. And then the most important part is that the DNS server is going to be 199.100.16.100, which is keyhole for anybody that doesn't know. It's where all of the traffic goes to. So if anybody's ever taken 230 or 231, this will be pretty review. But figured to point that out. Everything you need to edit that is in Etsy Network Interfaces. There's more detailed guides on the on this docs.isage.org. So we'll kind of breeze past that. As for the reason we can't access the internet, I'm pretty sure it's because we don't have any proxies set up. which you can do in Etsy environment. So let me add some of these proxies here. So we're just going to set up a proxy environment variable so that all of the commands and stuff that you run in the server get proxied through Keyhole, which is the way out to the internet from ISEAGE. Anybody remember the port? Tyler, what's the port for the proxy? 3128? That sound right? That sounds pretty right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We're going to copy and paste that because Vim is awesome. And then, okay, good. So this should be a rough setup for getting the proxies working. We set up the HTTP, HTTPS, and FTP proxies, all to send our traffic to the same place, 191.100, 3128. And if you're wondering how I remember all that, it's because I've taught TA 230 for 3 semesters now, and we do that so much. So, cool. We're going to exit and read. Oh boy. Hope this is still CDC. Oh, it is. Thank God. Cool. Let's see if we got those environment variables. We did. So now print env prints all the environment variables, pipe that into grep to search, and we search for proxy, and we can see that those proxies are set. And now comes the question of, is this going to work? Hey, okay, so now we can see we have to update successfully. So it's actually going out and getting information. It can access the internet and everything. All we had to do was set up these proxies. So when in doubt, check that your proxies are all set up. If you can ping 199, 100, 16, that's a great check to see if you're actually connected to the network. So if you get pings back from Keyhole, look at proxies. That's going to be where you want to go to set all that up. So either way, cool. We are booling. We're good. So sudo apt update will update the references to the software, and sudo apt upgrade will actually go through and replace old software with the new up-to-date versions, which is what this is doing. So cool. That's like the biggest thing. If you can get into all your servers, connect them to the internet, and apt update and upgrade them, you're sitting pretty for a lot of stuff. So, and yeah. So when this, oh god, I hope it doesn't take long. It might take a while. So while this is running, we can look at a different machine real quick. We'll look at www.
There's GBG errors.
But can I change password on the default user? I was just going to talk about that.
Yeah.
So a good place to look when you get access to things is Etsy password and Etsy shadow. These are going to be the files that show you all of the users that are set up on your box. So as you can see here, if anybody wants to write down that hash real quick, you could crack the password to CDC. It'd actually be really quick because I think everybody knows it. But either way, on here we can see that there are 2 users that have passwords, root and CDC. And those are demonstrated by those long hashes afterwards. Those are the passwords that are set for those users, but they're hashed. So like I mentioned before, one of the most important things you can do is change the password. Passwd is the command for that. So if you just do passwd, let me double check I know. Okay, I don't know the password for. Is the password for CDC just CDC? Okay, so right now I just logged in as the CDC user, and the password was CDC. We'll change that real quick, because Red Team will log in with that immediately if they're given the chance. SU root. We're into the password again. Okay, so the command we're looking for is going to be passwd, and then the name of the account that you want to change. So CDC is the name of the account. Passwd CDC will change the password for the CDC account. And you can see it says enter new Unix password. So I'm going to type a super secure password that I will definitely remember to tell my teammates. Retype it. When you're typing on a terminal like this, oftentimes nothing shows up because it's trying to be secure. You don't want to see, like, you guys would all know what I was typing if that printed it out, so it didn't. And so, yeah, if we exit now and try to log into our CDC user, CDC and CDC, you'll see that I'll get a password failed error. There we go, login failed. But if I try it with my super secure new password that's not 4 characters and the reverse of root, we can see that we're good to go. So there we go. Connecting to the internet, boom, easy. Everybody should do that. Everybody should update, upgrade stuff. This is still updating in the background. And passwd with the name of your account changes all the passwords. Great stuff. You guys, if you do those 2 things, you are at like top 5% of CDC teams already. It's amazing.
Oh, we lost all of our flags last time to default creds. It was slightly intentional, but
we did. We lost.
A lot of teams lose their flags to default creds.
Yeah, we lost every flag and they got second. So also, don't lose hope if you lose all your flags. That's kind of the point. We lost all of our flags and we still got second. So NBD. Cool. Real quick run through of creating a VM if you guys want. What do you think?
Yeah.
So those are some of the things you can do on the boxes. There's obviously a ton more. So netstat is going to be your friend here for looking at what's running on the box. So as you can see, this box, this www box, is supposed to have SSH on 22 and a website on 80 and 443. Why is there something running on 137, on 138, on, well, that's probably the website.
That is 445
Oh,
is not the
that's
website.
443. 445 is
If you run sudo, you can see what process is actually running it too.
oh shit.
I need to find a better way to do this text.
We got it. Yeah, so netstat, because I'm assuming CDC doesn't have root privileges. Probably does though. So yeah, we can see here. There's a lot of crazy stuff running on here. I'm not going to go into what all this is. That's up for you guys to find out and determine if you should have it running. Probably not. It's probably going to be a bunch of garbage. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can go about securing these boxes, locking down ports, setting up host-based firewalls, all that sort of stuff. That's all great stuff for you guys to figure out and learn. That's where most of the value comes from the CDCs, is understanding you're given a black box you don't know anything about, and you have to figure it out. It's awesome. I do want to talk real quick about setting up a new VM. So as you can see here, we have a couple boxes that are new that we added. Specifically, we have a parent external box, which we use for testing our own interfaces. So we go in and do nmaps. We do basic pen testing to see if our stuff is secure from a very basic perspective. And then we also have a pfSense box because we set up a firewall every year. So we'll talk about that real quick. The best way to make a new virtual machine I found, just right-click on your resource pool, which will be CDC team whatever number, and new virtual machine. Here's going to be the menu for making a new virtual machine. We're going to go create a new virtual machine. You have to click in here to get to your team's resource pool, or this folder here. Name it something, demo 1. So you can give your same really descriptive and useful virtual machine name. Hit next. You want to put this into the resources for the actual team 2, your team's resource pool. Next. And then we can look at the storage here. Yeah, we just want to do the normal CDC storage. Don't try to put it on the ISO's database or data store. That's not good. So basic CDC storage. Next. That's fine. You can set up the guest OS. We'll set up Linux. Let's do other 64.
That's what
Just Linux usually, and then you can set up the resources. Don't go crazy with that, Tyler. Please don't. You're just making it less fun for everybody else. So, feel free to give yourself another CPU. Maybe don't do megabytes of RAM. Maybe you give yourself 4 gigs of RAM. That's fine. None of these boxes are going to be doing anything intensive enough to require more than 4 gigs of RAM. I can guarantee it. Even the most beefy router that you would be routing like way more traffic than you would get doesn't need more than 4 gigs. Give yourself some hard drive space. Nothing crazy there. A nice 32 gig. And go into the drop-down menu for the hardware and change this disk partitioning to thin provisioning.
Yeah.
That's like...
You sound like someone that made a mistake about it.
No, I sound like somebody who's been told that every semester I've ever been here and done anything. 230, 231, 331, CDCs. Anything we use, make sure it's thin provisioning. What thin provisioning does is it will not... So I set my disk space up to be 32 gigs here. Correct me if I'm wrong. Thin provisioning is going to make it so that it does not set aside the entire 32 gigs for me right when I make it. It sets aside what I need, and then will allocate more as I need it. So that you're not, if you gave yourself a 4 terabyte hard drive with thin provisioning, you would only take up your spot, and then you would do more. Still don't do 4 terabytes. 32 gigs is more than enough for anybody to do anything. Cool. And then you can see we have a network card. So we have our team internal networks. We have a bunch of these different team internal networks. These ones will be for putting behind your firewall if you make a firewall or something. We will put this on the comp network, and then we'll actually make a new interface card. So we can add a new device, and we can add a new network adapter down here. So because this is a firewall has 2 sides. We're going to install a firewall, by the way, I don't mention that. It has a WAN side, which would be the competition network, and then it has a LAN side, which would be our team's machines, so that we can moderate all the traffic that goes between them. So, competition network, and we can set the team's internal one as the second network. Now we have the CD drive. We want to set this up to be a data store ISO. So, again, for anybody that's done any virtual machine stuff that isn't groundbreaking, but we can come in here and we need to put a physical operating system disk in the disk drive to install from. Otherwise, we just have a blank VM. So, we're going to go in here and we'll select this pfSense install. 2.5.2 release for AMD 64. Hit OK. Make sure that is connected. So we have the actual operating system disk in the drive. Close the drive, connect it to our computer. We're good to install. And I think that's pretty much it for all of the interesting stuff. Next, finish. And here we'll see demo 1 has now been created as a VM. We're good to power this on with the power on button. And launch into the web console. And here we see, boom, pfSense is already booting up. If you could see that right before that. pfSense is running on our hardware. It's going to do all of its basic install stuff. It's going to go through its little boot process, and then hopefully it will get to a menu where we can configure some of the addressing stuff, which might be where we stop for the formal part of this. Here's a EULA. Don't bother reading any of that. It's fine, probably. Install VMware, and here we go. Default.
Right about here, just so you know.
You're what?
I had an issue right about here. So best of luck.
I'm going to hit default for all of them. No redundancy.
Press space.
Select
That's
that.
better than I got. Yeah.
That's our disk. Okay, so we're just hitting default for everything, and then we only have one hard drive there, so we're just telling it to use that hard drive. That was the last screen. Here it's giving us a warning saying that entire hard drive is going to be obliterated and put new stuff on it because it's installing. Totally fine. It's a virtual hard drive. We don't care about it. It's not ours. I don't care. And here we go. I'm infinitely better than Trent because Trent wasn't able to install this already.
Yeah.
So this will install, and then hopefully we'll have ourselves a little pfSense router that we can use to moderate all of our traffic. So cool stuff. We are about at time for 7 o'clock for the end of our meeting, and I know there are a lot of exams tonight. 311 has one. I think there's a couple other random ones. So no need to stick around, but we will hang out and talk about team creation. So we have one team. If anybody else wants to come up and is looking for a team and wants to hang out, come up here and we'll just talk through it. We'll also, if anybody has to leave right now because of prior arrangements, we will throw in chat. We'll throw, people who are looking for, I think somebody already said in the Discord that they were looking for a team. So if you have to leave now and you can't hang out to socialize and pick up on a team, throw it in Discord. Say, hey, I'm looking for a team with no experience, or I'm looking for a team with all the experience and we'll win. So,
or if you're live, if you're on the live stream, also just go to the
if you're
Discord.
live stream, go to OnlyFans/IASG.
Nope.
Super
Not
chat.
yet. Nope.
Donate. Throw the poggers emojis in the chat.
Nope.
Hit us with those dabbing emotes.
Not yet.
Oh.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thank you all for coming. I hope that was somewhat informative, somewhat helpful. All of this stuff is really complicated. There's a lot of different ways to do it, so don't feel overwhelmed. You guys